Good day, guys, and welcome to today's lesson. Today, we'll be discussing um, CSS selectors, and we'll be doing a practical hands-on today, and we'll be practicalizing all that we've learned all this while. And today's the day, so I'm excited. I hope you are too. So first off, from our previous classes, we've been talking about CSS selectors and how they work. Just a quick recap. CSS selectors allow us to style specific parts of our HTML elements. Without CSS selectors, you wouldn't be able to style your HTML elements, and you just have a bare bones website or application that looks like this. So today we'll be doing a hands-on approach to learning about CSS selectors. To begin with, we'll start with elements, classes, and IDs. We'll start with that. And from there onwards, we'll talk about groups of selectors. Then we move on to descendant selectors, and we move on to parent-child selector, and then adjacent or general sibling selector, then attribute selectors. We'll be ending with attribute selectors. So let's start with elements, classes, and IDs. So say, for example, you have this list elements, this list elements that is created using, by the way, we are using CodePen for this session. And in order for you to access this, I'll just drop it for you here. You can fork this CodePen directly and then edit as we go. So first off, we have this unordered list item. This is where we'd be doing all of our styling. This is going to depict, how CSS selectors work. And within this unordered list item, we have ordered list item. So it is nested, right? We have a nested list within a list. So this list item, this unordered list item, has a nested ordered list item, which also has an unordered list item that is nested within it as well. So basically, we're dealing with nested list item and how they work. So first off, this would give you a basic understanding of how to make sure that you're selecting the proper elements at every point in time. And that's why we're going this route. I got this CodePen from a front-end master's course. So basically, let's start with this. So say you want to style this whole list item, and you want to give them, let's say, for example, you want to style the whole list item and you want to give them a paragraph of red. Just let's uncomment this from here. Li. So we'll select the elements Li. So these are all the list items within this unordered list. And as you can see, we have so many of them here. So select the element Li. This is an element selector, by the way. And then create our declaration block and give it a paragraph of color. Let's give all the paragraphs a color of pink. Okay, maybe not pink. Let's give it a color of red, so that it's clear to everyone. So as you can see, all the list items within this unordered list are made red from this style, this declaration block alone. And this is because this is an element selector and it's targeting all elements that has an li. And it's saying, look for all elements with the li and make sure that the contents within them has a color of red. That's what is happening here. Now let's move on a bit further, right? Let's do classes. So let's say we want all LIs, all lists that have the class nested. Not necessarily all li. Let's say we want all the elements that has the class nested to have a specific color, or let's say we want it to have a background of green. As you can see, okay, this is blinding to the eye. Let's make sure we are, let's give it the color of blue. You know what? Yeah. Also blinding to the eye. Gray. Yeah, I think this is a lot more better. Yeah, as you can see, these are the only elements selected. Now, if we go back to our HTML, we can see that this is the only part of the elements that is selected. Right. This whole part here, from here, this li, up to this point, from line 5 to line 22, we can see that those are the only parts selected. Why is that, you would question? Well, the reason behind that is because you can see this li as a class of nested. So we're specifically targeting the class name nested. And that's why this is only being applied to this part of the block. Now, say for example, we would like to also, look for elements that, let's target an element by the ID. We have an element that has an ID here. Yeah, ID last thing. So this is the only element that has the ID last thing. And this is how you target the elements from your HTML. And let's give it a background. A background of yellow. And we should see that this element gets a background of yellow. Now, as you can see, we've covered the basics, which is, elements, targeting an element and styling it, targeting an element. So this is an element selector, this is a class selector, and this is an ID selector over here. So moving on, let's talk about grouping selectors. Let's talk about grouping selectors. So when it comes to grouping selectors, we can select multiple elements at the same time and style them using just one declaration block. So that's the whole point behind grouping selectors together. And say, for example, let's comment this bit out. Let's comment this bit out. So say, as you can see, we're back to normal over here. Say you want to have a list item. So we are selecting a list item. We're also going to be targeting elements with the class nested. Also going to be targeting an element with the ID of last. Now this is how you group selectors. You put a comma and a space between them, and you should be fine. So say, for example, we want to give this element a background color, or want to make the font size 32 pixels. As you can see, this is all selected because number one, this li encompasses everything. So think of it as your list item, so it encompasses everything. So probably this is not the best example, so let's just use nested and last. So as you can see here, just using nested, elements with the class nested, and elements with the ID of last, you can see that the font size are only being applied to these elements. Now you can see we didn't have to declare a different declaration block for each of this. So this is how you style multiple selectors together, elements with different selectors together. This is how you group selectors together and apply a style to them. You do this by adding a comma and the spacing, and then you select the ID or selector. You select the selector you want to, you target the selector that you want to style. So in this case, we are targeting all elements with the class nested, and we're also targeting all elements with the ID of last, and which happens to be this case over here. So that's the basics of group selectors, and that's how you target elements using group selectors. Now let's move on to descendant selectors. Now with descendant selectors, we're basically going to be, targeting elements based on their relationship with other elements. So say, for example, I want to target LIs that's, let's say, for example, I want to target all OLs, ordered lists, right, that has LIs within them. So this should be done like this. Yeah. So let me comment this out and let's deal with this part of the document. So we've dealt with element selector, class selector, ID selector. We've dealt with how to group selectors together. Now we're moving on to descendant selectors. So I'll just comment this bit out to help you understand. And descendant selector basically just means, oh, I want to select elements that are descendants of a particular parent element. So this is a descendant selector. This is a descendant element of Li over here. Right. This is a descendant element of Li. This is a descendant. This Li as a child. These are the descendants of this Li. So from line 6 to from 5 to 22, those are the descendants of this Li, this list item. Now, say we want to style the descendants of this Li element over here. There are multiple ways we can go about it. We can say Li OL, right? Let's just say, for example, we want to target all elements that are all list items that are descendants, that have a descendant of OL. We would do that by doing this, just a space between them, no commas, because we're not grouping them together. We're just saying we want to target all ordered list item that are children of this list item. All ordered lists that are children of this list item. So that's what we want to do over here. And so basically it's going to only select this element over here up to this point. This is what we're going to be styling. But then we can move further and say, okay, let's do a background of yellow first so you can visualize what is going on. Oh, so apparently there's another list item that has a child of OL, which is this part, don't forget. Yeah. So we have two scenarios of this. And as you can see, this list item over here has a child of OL. And that's why this style, this background yellow, is being applied to this and this as well. As you can see over here too. This is where we start. So that's basically a descendant selector. And we can play with it further Let's say, for example, we want to target ULs within an LI. Let's switch this to UL. And this is the only scenario where we have an unordered list that's the children of an LI. So let's go over here, and this is the only scenario from line 9 down to line 18. So as you can see, we have LI. You can see this UL, this unordered list. This unordered list is a descendant of this LI. So this is how you select elements using descendant selectors. Now we can also go down further and say, okay, you know what? I just really want to target all ordered lists that are descendants of an unordered lists that is also a descendant of a list item. So in this case, we're going to be targeting, say we want to just only apply the background yellow style to this element here. Right, just this element here. This element here. We can also do this. And as you can see, the background only applies to this element over here. So that's basically how descendant selectors work. They allow you to style an element based on the relationship, the parent-child relationship it has to other elements. And that's what a descendant selector allows you to do. And how you achieve that is by just, targeting your elements. It could be a class, it could be an ID selector. It depends on what you want to do. But over here, we're basically just using element selectors, LI, UL, and OL. So that is what is happening over here. So let's use another example. So say, for example, I want to style this link item. Yeah, I want all my links to have a color of red. All links that are within an ordered list, I want it to be a color of red. How do you go about that? You can just do OL, right? A. And you say, let's say a color red. As you can see, this anchor element is a descendant of OL, and that's why it's been applied to these two anchor elements over here. They are both descendants of this ordered list. And when you do apply, they are both descendants of this ordered list, and that's why this color red is being applied to these two anchor elements here. We're targeting these anchor elements and we're saying we want to give it a color of red. Okay, select all anchor elements that are descendants of this ordered lists and apply a color of red to it. Now, as you can see, it also selects another link over here. So you can see this is a descendant of this ordered list over here, right? And that is why this color red is being applied to this Google link. Also, this is also a descendant of this ordered list over here, right? That is why it is being applied to this thing over here too. So basically that's what a descendant selector is. So that is an overview of what a descendant selector is. And this is how you go about it. You can target elements that are children of descendants of a specific element using this approach. So say, for example, we only want to target this thing, this link over here, right? This link over here. Then now let's have an overview of the structure of this element. I do this by collapsing. Here is a thing. Now, as you can see, it is an ordered list that has a link, right? It's a descendant of this unordered list over here. And where is the link? Here is 18, line 25 over here. So in the case where we want to style this link alone, we can say, actually, it might apply to this as well, this front-end masters. Yeah, it would apply to this as well. Now, let's say we want to select all links that are direct children of this unordered, that are descendants of this unordered lists, right? We can just do ul a and then say, give them a color of gray. And as you can see, all the links are now gray because they are just direct descendants of this unordered list elements. And that is what is happening over here. You can also target elements by, say, for example, I want to only target all elements that has a class. So all li elements that has a class of nested and has a link within it, right? Let's say this li as a class of nested. This is how you specify that. All list item that has a class of nested, which is this case over here. And you want to target all link items within that is a descendant of this li that has a class of nested. We can just do this. And instead of giving it gray, we can say something. As you can see over here, it is selecting all elements. Now, I want to specifically target this link items over here, right? I'm going to give it a color of red here. Now, applies to just this elements over here. Because because it is nested within this, right? So basically it is going from here and it's looking for all link elements that are nested within this li over here, right? And up to line 22. So what links are within line 5 to 22? We only have these two links over here, line 11 and line 14. So those are the only link items that matches this condition over here, because we're selecting all list item that has a class of nested and is a descendant. All links that are descendants of this list item that have a class of nested. So that is what is happening over here. Now, say for example, I want to target just these links over here, right? I want to target just these links over here. How can I go about that? You can see I can make use of this OL. Okay, this doesn't have a class. Basically, so because of the specificity, right, this comes before this. CSS has a thing where for each style that you apply, if there's a style that is going to override it, so the cascade, if there's a style that is going to override it, then it's going to only apply the last style that matches it. And that is why you see over here that this color gray is being applied to all elements, even though we've specified that we want to target OLs that are descendants. We want to target anchor elements that are descendants of unordered list. I want to give them a color of red, right? It's not being applied right now because this comes after it. This styling comes after it. We're targeting another anchor element here, and we're saying we want to give them a color of gray. So there's a conflict between this style and this style over here. And this is what we call the cascade. So basically the cascade is just a way in which CSS determines what styles to apply if there are conflicts within your style sheets. So in this case, CSS has determined that this is the style that it's going to apply instead of this. Right. And because this is also a descendant of this, right? OL is a descendant of A, but UL is also a descendant of A. So as a result, it's going to apply this. This UL is a descendant of all these OLs, right? These OLs within it. And this OL of A, if this was not present, you would see the color red being applied to some of these elements over here. Right. Now, because of the cascade, right, we're having a conflict in styles. It's the reason why CSS has decided to just apply color gray to all anchor elements. So when we have this, you can see it has applied color gray to all anchor elements, and it is not respecting this declaration over here. It's not respecting it because of the cascade and CSS realizing that there is a conflict in our style sheets, and it's decided to go with the most recent styling And that's why we are having this applied over here. So now, how can we deal with this issue? We deal with it by being more specific, right? Now over here, we just said, oh, all elements that are descendants of, all UL elements that are descendants of, all anchor elements, sorry, that are descendants of unordered list items, we want to apply a color of gray to them, right? Now, what we can do to ensure that this color red still applies is we can come over here, OL, LI, and A. We can say, boom. Now, because this has a much higher specificity, right? So basically, there's something called specificity in CSS. It basically means the hierarchy of so CSS applies numbers to specific elements, and the higher these numbers are, the higher the chances of these styles being applied to it. So in this case, we have 3 element selectors, right? Because we have 3 element selectors over here, we're specifying that, so this has a higher specificity than this over here. And as a result, that is why these styles are being applied to this. And as you can see, this list item with the anchor tag also applies the color gray to the elements, right? You can see this is unordered lists, and we're basically checking within this unordered list where an anchor tag is and applying a gray element to it. That is what is happening over here. But over here, we're saying look for all unordered, look for all ordered lists, which are this 1 2 1 2 over here, 1 2 3 1 2, this nested 1 2 over here, and this nested 1 2 over here as well. Look for all ordered lists and look for all links within them that are descendants of list items. So this is a descendant of ordered lists. Now within this li, we're looking for an anchor tag that are descendants of these li's. So in this case, OL, this doesn't have an anchor tag. So okay, this has an anchor tag over here, OL, LI, and this matches this. And that's why we have a color of red over here. So it has more where we're basically saying look for this element that matches this element that is a descendant of this element. So it is more specific, unlike over here where we're just saying look for all unordered list items that has descendants of anchor, right? Anchor elements. So this would match all anchor elements within this block, this unordered list item. But in this case, we're specifically saying look for all ordered list items within within our code, right? Now within the ordered list items, look for all list items, right? within this ordered list item, look for all list items, and within them, look for all anchor tags and apply this style to it. You can see how specific it is, and that is why it is being applied as opposed to this over here, right? Because they are conflicting styles, we're applying two styles to anchor elements, right? So they will naturally conflict. And what CSS does is it selects the most recent style when it comes across a conflict, right? It is either resolved by specificity or recency, or by using importance. That is how CSS resolves conflict. So in this case over here, it resolved it by specificity, and it chose the color red for cases that match this. Sorry for that. And it chose the color gray for the rest. And that's how descendant selectors work. So we've gone into a bit of a rabbit hole with descendant selectors, but it's just for you guys to understand how it all works and how this whole thing functions. Because when you have a deep understanding of how descendant selectors work, you should be able to style anything, because HTML have elements that have relationship with each other, and with descendant selectors you can target these relationships and then style specific elements within your HTML elements. So let's move on to parent child. So parent child selector basically allows you to target elements that are specific to, that are specific children of a specific element. So let's start with this. Okay. And let's comment this out. So parent child. Now, say for example, I want to target only these elements, over here, and I want to apply a background to it. How do I go about that? So as you can see, this is within another list, right? It is nested within another list, and from there we can guess that this is not guess, we can see that this is another list item, right? How do we target it? And this is within another list item as well. So let's start with that, right? So we know that this is an ordered list item, right? Let's do OL. And we want to target the children, right? Direct children that has allies, or rather, let's do something instead of going that route. Let's do it from the top here. So let's say we want to apply a background color to all direct children of this unordered list. Let's do this, UL, LI, and then this. background. I say cyan. It's going to apply to everything, by the way. Let's say we want to target all OLs. Now we want to just target this, all LIs that have a direct children of UL. Yeah. And there we go. Here we go. So as you can see, we are targeting this element over here, right? And we're making it an element, we're giving it a background of cyan. So we're saying look for all unordered lists that are direct children of a list item. So where can we find that? This is a direct child of this second thing over here. And this is the only case where it matches. Now let's say we want to do this for this as well. We would be looking for all LIs. We'll be looking for all OLs that are direct children of an LI. Let's give it a background of cyan. No, let's give it another color. Green. Right. OL. Oh, I see. Oh, so basically what is happening over here is that this is a direct child of OL. So it's applying the style to this. Now this is also a direct child of OL, and that's why it's applying it to this. So what we can do to specifically target just this one down here is LIOL. Let's say that does not have let's use an attribute selector, right? Let's use an attribute selector. Class nested. Boom. So we're targeting all ordered list elements, yeah, that doesn't have a class of nested, right, over here. So as you can see, li does not have a class of nested. So we're targeting this grain over here. OL. OL. So apparently what is going on here is So what is going on here is that we're trying to target this ordered list item that are direct children of a list item that doesn't have a class nested. So we can see over here, this list item has a class of nested, and down here, this list item doesn't have a class of nested, so it is applying this style to this element over here. And when we come down here to, this is the case over here too as well. And that is how you make use of a parent-child selector. So as you can see, we are also using a pseudo class selector over here, pseudo class selector, and this is a not, and basically it's basically saying let's check a list item that does not have the attribute class nested, that doesn't have the nested class within this list item. That is what is going on over here, and that is how we are able to target this element. If this wasn't the case here, if we remove this, as you saw from before, it would target all list items that has an OL, which happens to be all list items that are nested, right? So all list items are nested, have an OL. So in that case, we're saying we don't want to target this list item, and we don't want to target this OL. We want to target this list item because it doesn't have a class of, it doesn't have a class of nested, right? And it also has a direct child of OL. Over here too, we're targeting this list item because it doesn't have a class of nested, and this has a direct child of OL, and that is why those styles are being applied. So let's revert back to what it was before, and this is just to show you how parent-child relationship works. So let's move on to adjacent / general sibling selectors. So basically, where we're for the parent-child selectors, we use a greater than sign to directly signify that we want a direct child of this. We want to target all OLs that are direct child of this LI that does not have a class of nested on it. But say, for example, you don't want to target all OLs within. So say you have multiple OLs, right? Let's say we have double OLs over here. Oh, sorry. Oh, I forgot. Right. So we have two OLs over here. You can see both of them are selected at the moment, and this style is being applied to it. Now, say you want to only select just this OL over here, and not all the OLs that are direct children, right? Because these OLs are direct children of this LI, and that is why these styles are being applied to them. Now, if we move on to this part of our code, this adjacent and sibling, general sibling selector, we're going to address this issue now. Now let's start with this. Let's target just these elements that immediately precedes an li element, right? That doesn't have a class of nested. Now let's do that with this, because I don't want to select. The reason why we are applying this is that I do not want all of the list items to be selected, because from the root elements, from the roots list item over here, it has a class of nested, and it is more likely that it is going to be applied to all of this, and I don't want that to be the case. So that's why I'm using a not pseudo class over here to specify that I don't want to select that. Okay, let's deal with adjacent slash general sibling combinator. So in that case, what we are looking for is, we're trying to target just a specific part of the element. So let's go about it using this element over here instead of this. Say I want to target just this. I can do this. Oh well. And let me give it a background of let me give it a background of blue. Yeah, let me give it a background of blue. Oh, what's wrong? Not a class, direct. So it should only select just this element and apply this background to it. So why is that not the case? Let's have a look together. Adjacent slash general sibling. Okay. This not class nested. Okay. Li ol. Oh, basically, I see what's going on here. So basically what is happening is we are targeting, so they are not siblings to each other. This is an element itself. So what we want to do is, say for example, right, OL, and we want to target just the first LIs. Let me do first of type first. Let me use this to check first of type pseudo class. OL first of type. Background blue. Second thing. So let's debug together. Second thing. Okay. OL first of type. Actually, okay, I see where the problem is. This is always going to select this, and it would apply this style to all of this. Give me a moment. Li, this, okay. OL first of type. Okay, so why is that not the case? It's always going to select that. Background blue. Okay, then we want to only select Li. What elements were we targeting before? Li first of type. Let's not use the first of type. OL. So we're trying to look at this OL and Li first of type. So we're supposed to just select this and apply background blue to it. I don't know why this is not being applied at the moment. Let me check. Could it be? Let me comment this styles out. Let me comment the styles out, then debug from there. All right. So we're back to where we began. And why is this having the style of gray? Weird. Anyways, let's get back to it. Let's do a UL on the Li. Should get this. UL and LI. UL and LI and ideally this should select this element over here and apply a background of blue to it. So why is that not the case? Let's check. So you're experiencing your is LI. This is weird. Do I need to restart? Just give me a moment. So the adjacent selector looks like it's going to give me a bit of a tough time, and let me see how we can resolve that. ULLI, this is supposed to be selected. Why is it not selected? Body. Immediately follows this UL. This LI immediately follows this UL. You know what? You know what? Let me check. First of type. So why is that working now? First of type. And you want to UL LI UL. How many other? Just one. Okay. So let's do OL LI. Alright, so it's selecting this. Now let's say we want to select just all OL sibling. OL. Oh, I see. I see where the problem is. OL. And LI. say we had another item. Let's do a paragraph of hello. Okay, let's try with this unordered list with a P. Okay, so I see where the problem is. Basically, the problem stems from me assuming that UL elements, so basically it's adjacent sibling, not children or descendants or parent child, right? So that's my mistake, by the way. So let's now make use of a proper example. So say you want to target say you want to target just this element, this ordered list element here. So how we can go about it is, first off, second thing, where's second thing over here? Always make sure that you go through your structure first to identify what part of your structure you want to style. Second thing should be here. So we want to style this, right? And within second thing is another thing. So we want to style this OL. I want to just, okay, so it will be a list item. We can do this. So okay. So what we can do is we can just select this right here. So say we want to style this because this is immediately following. So it's a sibling, not a parent-child relationship, right? And that's where I was making a mistake. I was looking at nested parent-child elements, the relationship between them, rather than, elements that are immediately preceding each other. So that's the difference between the parent-child selector, the descendant selector, and a adjacent sibling selector. And what you need to do is, this is a sibling to this. So now, say I want to start this, the last thing, UL LI UL LI UL. This nested. Okay, so what we can do is, this is also let's have a paragraph over here. This would better depicts what I'm trying to do. Or we can just select this and look for an element immediately preceding it. Yeah, let's do that. So let's look for OL with an LI with a UL. of class nested, right? Nested. URL of class nested. OL li OL li. So we're going to use a mixture, and we're going to say li lasting. Yeah. But I'm trying to target this element over here, so we can do ends of type, ends type, not ends of type, ends type, ends type, even. How is it not selecting? Ends type, ends type, even. Ends of type. Okay, it's ends of type, not ends type. So basically, allies, we're looking for even once, but then want to select the element immediately preceding it and apply a yep. There you go. So basically what is happening here is we're trying to target all list items of, we're targeting, okay, let's do OLs instead of generally. So we're targeting all ordered list item, and we're selecting the even numbered list items, and we're saying style the elements that immediately follows this list items that are even, and give it a background of blue. So that is what like the adjacent sibling selector is. As you can see over here, let's go to this code here. As you can see over here, we have an OL, an LI that is of ends type, OL LI 1 2 OL LI. So it is going inside here. OL LI 1 2. This is even. So it is also looking for immediate LIs after this. So this would be the last thing. This OL LI. OL LI. And looking for an LI that precedes this is going to give you more things as well. So that is why this two is being applied. So yeah, that's how the adjacent sibling combinator works. Now let's do the general sibling combinator. So say for example, I want to target all LI elements that immediately precedes even LIs. So this is how you would go about it. LI. Type. Let's do it again. Let's do this again. But this time we use general sibling combinator. So this is how you make use of general sibling combinator. Background of yellow. This is also going to be the same, by the way, because we're looking for elements that immediately follow this LI that is of type nth of type even. As you can see over here, there is no other element that is of type even that is LI that immediately follows this. This is an unordered list over here too. This is an unordered list. So this yellow should apply, but it's not, because this is even, and then there is no other sibling that follows it. That's why this style is not being applied. Now, if we go down here and add a number 3, so it's, where is that? Don't forget, okay? Don't forget terms and conditions. The privacy policy is always, yep. Let's add another LI. You'd see that the color yellow would be applied to it. Yellow. Yep. And that's what the general sibling combinator does. It allows you to select all LI. Like, it allows you to select all elements that precedes your selected elements that are siblings to each other. So say for example, you have LIs like we had over here, and you only want to select a specific part of the LIs. You can do this. You can target. Let's do a 4 to. Let's do up to 6. Let's do up to 6. Ctrl C. Just so you can have a better understanding. So you can see with general sibling combinators, it selects all items, all list items that match this condition over here. So it is selecting all LIs that precede the sibling of this, which is OL, LI, nth of type, even. Now let me just show the difference between this and the adjacent. You'd see that for every even element, we want to select the immediately preceding elements and apply background blue to it. So let's remove this. You know what? Let's just use first of type over here. First of type over here. Now, as you can see, this would only match this, and this would only match this as well. So it is immediately following. Now, this is a pseudo class that indicates we only want to select li items that are the first of its type. And this is it over here. And this plus sign is saying select all li elements, select the li element that immediately precedes this li element over here, and apply this style to it, apply the background blue to it. Now, if we were to do the same over here, let's use a first of type instead of nth of type even. Let's use a first of type. First of type pseudo class. As you can see, it is applying it to the same way it was before, right? But in this case over here, it is applying it to all other elements. In the general, in the adjacent sibling combinator, which is the plus, it would only apply it to number 2 over here. But with the general sibling combinator, it will match all li elements, not just the one that immediately precedes this condition. And that is what is happening over here. Now, finally, we'll move on to attribute selectors, and would be done for today. Now, say for example, we want to target all anchor elements that has an href within our documents. We want to target all anchor elements that has an href attributes. So this is probably going to be useful in a case where you want to style all your link elements and you want to give it maybe a sort of feel to it. Let's say we want to, let's use before pseudo elements. Want to apply maybe say an emoji, right? Want to apply an emoji to all our lists, our anchor elements. Want to apply an emoji before it. We can say this Windows dot yep, and we want to make all our anchor elements have a color of yellow, no, color of red. Yep, supposed to put a semicolon afterward. Not this, sorry. So let me just do regular href over here and color of red. Now, as you can see, all our links are red. And say you want to target all links with an attribute of, or let's say we want to target all list item with an attribute of class nested. This is how you go about it. Class nested. Let's make those color blue. Color blue. Now you can see all list elements with the class nested as the color blue as test. Now we can also do we can also select parts of an attribute and match it with let's go back here. Say for example, which elements do we have over here? Okay, we can say we want to match all elements that has the value targets, right? href all anchor elements with the href attribute that has the value, no, not href, the targets. Actually, let's do href. Has the value this, and we want to give it a specific style of gray color, gray. Now these are all the links that are going nowhere that has the href value of gray. So we can also say we want to target an element. Let's say we want to target an href that has the value of .com, right? Href actually that ends with .com. So this star is basically saying look for all href elements that has this value hash in it. If an href element has a value hash in it, then we want to apply the color gray to it. Want to apply the color gray to it, we can say where we want to apply all elements that ends with the value .com. Yeah, in this case we have several .coms here. Yep. Yeah. That ends with .com. And we can say we want to give them a color of green. So these are links that link to elsewhere, as you can see. And that is how we make use of attribute selectors. Now, if there are any questions, you can reach out to us via the feedback form and help us know how we can do better. So that would be all for today. And take your time to practice these CSS selectors and ensure you're familiar with them. Next week, we'll be moving on to a new topic. And that will be all from me today. Bye.